I conducted 4 observations at 4 different sites for special education students. My first site was Westside Elementary School in Greenbrier, and that teacher was Jenny Ueda. The second location was the Lonoke Exceptional School in Cabot at the Preschool Center, and the teachers in there were Miss Laura and Miss Heather. My third observation was the Lonoke Exceptional School in Cabot at the Adult Center, and the teacher was Miss Leslie. My fourth observation was the Lonoke Exceptional School in Lonoke at the Preschool Center, and the teacher there was Allison Hendricks. I had very good experiences at all of these locations, and I really enjoyed doing these observations. My first observation was conducted at Westside Elementary School in Greenbrier, and I was in a self-contained room, and I was greeted by the secretary, and she talked to me and asked me some questions and got my information, and then she escorted me to my room where I was greeted by the teacher, Miss Ueda. This teacher talked to me about the routine of the classroom and what they were doing and how they did some stuff around the classroom. And when I first came in, they were all reading a book. They were at different places in the classroom, just wherever they wanted to be. It was kind of laid back in the mornings until everyone got in and settled down. Something that really stuck out to me in this class was the 2 family times a day. And the family time was for them to express how they were feeling openly and to talk to each other. And this brought the class closer, and it let people let out their feelings so that they didn't have to show them in other ways, such as anger. And the teacher expressed to me that this was really helpful for them. They dealt with several things, including behavioral problems, emotional disturbance, and ADHD. And those are just the main things that they dealt with. In this class, they did learn all subjects, and the students were grades K through 5, but they were all learning on a K1 level. My glow for this observation was the good, consistent schedule that they stuck to in the classroom. She showed me the schedule, and they seemed to really stick with it, and they did the same thing every day. And consistency is really what helped these students. My grow, there wasn't very much punishment or incentives for the students. They did have like one little clip chart, but they didn't seem to stick to it very well. And so I felt like there should have been more incentives offered to these students, especially the ones that have problems with behaving well. Maybe more incentives would help them and keep the classroom a little calmer. My second observation was done at the Lonoke Exceptional School in Cabot at the Preschool Center. This was a very good experience. The secretary was really nice, and after she took my information, she escorted me back to my classroom to show me where I was going to be. And at first, they put me in a different classroom because in the mornings, some classes are combined because some teachers ride on the bus to go get students. And so in the morning, it's kind of crazy, and they don't really have a very good consistent schedule about where the kids need to go. They just kind of combine until all the teachers and students show up. Once we got in our classroom, the first goal was to make all the students go to the bathroom, and they all sat around the table and played with trinkets and toys that were in boxes for them. This is something that they did every morning. Using the bathroom was the first priority, and then they just tried to keep them calm. One of the things that stuck out to me was they were very stern and assertive, where the students could understand what they were saying, and they used very short words and phrases, so it was more clear about what their command was. And they said things such as sit chair instead of a long sentence such as you need to sit in that chair. And this worked very well for them, and the students understood a lot better. My glow for this was how the teachers handled the students. They greeted them as they walked in and made them feel welcome, and were very happy that they were there. They knew each child personally, and they talked to them and welcomed them in and helped them get ready for the day. My grow was the mornings were kind of chaotic and not organized. This was because of the teachers being split off into riding buses, and the students all showed up at different times, And so people were just kind of everywhere, and I feel like there should have been a better schedule. Maybe they should all meet in one room, like maybe they should meet in the cafeteria or something. I just feel like they should have a better schedule that would help with the chaos. The third observation that I did was at the Lonoke Exceptional School in Cabot with the adults. When I went in, they greeted me and took my information, and the leader showed me around the whole school, and she told me what groups were doing different things. They were all separated out into the building. They had one main room that they gathered in. That was the gathering place for all of them, but then they were spread out among the facility. And she told me that I could go to whatever room, but she advised me to the room that she thought would be best for me. But I did get to see all the other groups do what they were doing, and then I ended up with a group. It was mostly young adults, and they were the highest functioning in the facility. And their job was to run what they called this snack shack. And at the snack shack, there was drinks and snacks and candy, and they opened this up to anyone in the facility. And they also had a place where they sold it at the preschool building. And they actually made money off this, and it taught them a lot of lessons. They were in charge of keeping inventory and restocking all of it. They went out and bought everything for it, and they also had to count money back to people. So they learned a lot, and the teacher guided them in the right way, but they did a lot of it on their own because they had been doing it so much. My glow for this was the students knew their job, so they knew exactly how to get it done without her being on top of them all the time. At the beginning, she taught them how to do it, but they were so consistent with it, and this was their job every day, and so they knew exactly what they were supposed to be doing. My grow, I didn't really have a grow. She did a very good job. The students knew what was going on. Everything was very clean and organized. And I really liked this observation. She was a great teacher. She got on their level and talked to them like they should have been talked to, and she helped and guided them, but she also knew each student and their capabilities. And so she pushed them to their full potential, and she knew what that was and didn't push them too far. So I really enjoyed this observation. My fourth and final observation was done at Lonoke Exceptional School in Lonoke, and it was at the preschool center. I observed the preschool 4 and 5-year-olds. The teachers were very kind and welcoming, and when I first walked in, one teacher was reading a book, and another teacher was sitting there helping the students to stay still and keep focused, and she was working on some projects on the side. The teacher that was reading the book was keeping the students very engaged. They were very interested. They were all sitting there, and they were all being pretty still and quiet. They were listening to the book and every word she said, and she engaged them really well. She kept asking them questions, and she incorporated all the students, which I know made them feel very loved. The room was very small, but they did the best with what they had. The room was a little chaotic because there was stuff all over the walls. It was so small, so they put as much as they could on the walls. There was posters and there was artwork of the students. They had no huge disability problems. It was mostly academically behind students. They were just a little bit behind and needed a little help. They had to work with what they had, so they didn't have a lot of good things to teach with, but the students still learned what they needed to learn, and so it really helped them a lot. The teachers worked together very well. They co-taught. They did equal amount of work, and they seemed to get along really well and work really well. They were very sweet and kind to all the students, and they got what they really needed to get out of it, and the students really benefited from this. My glow for this class was that the teachers always looked on the bright side and did the best with what they had. They didn't have a lot, and they were state funded, so they didn't have a lot of funds in the classroom, which didn't make it kind of chaotic, but which distracted the kids. That was my grow. The classroom could have been a little better organized because it was a little distracting to the students, and I felt like it was kind of all over the place, but they did have centers. They had a library and a science center. They had a computer, they had a cooking center, and then they had the tables. And so I really like this observation. Overall, all of these observations were very fun and interesting. I love doing all of them, and I really learned a lot about the special education program. The teachers taught me a lot, and they told me a lot about the classroom and how it was run. I loved all the students, and I really got attached to them. And this is definitely something that I'm looking into and something that I want to do someday.